Sir, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is, good evening, first of all.
Good evening.
My name is Quentin Robinson. I've been a resident here in Tampa for a long time. First, let me commend the association for having an event as such. I appreciate it. My disappointment, though, is the number of people who showed up. This type of discussion has so much bearing on where we want our youth to be in the future. Yet if you look around in the room, the seats are still empty. My disappointment is that we have leaders in position, as one young lady said, that are currently gatekeepers. And I believe my generation, and I'm 33 years old, and I would say the generation of 40 and below, are at the point to where they're jumping the gate. We're no longer wanting to wait on our elders to do something for us that they should already be doing, that we shouldn't have to remind them to do. In African civilization, my understanding of how a family was raised was in the village. And when that took place, everyone in that village had an input in that person's life. But that's not happening today. Why is that, is the question. I believe one reason is because the first word in this forum is status. Once people have gained a certain status, the U.S. is no more. So my challenge to anyone who sees themselves as a leader, and I believe everyone in this room is a leader because they made it here tonight, is to go back to the community that you came from and tell them about what's going on, like events like this as such. And another thing that I would recommend to brothers and sisters who see themselves as leaders is don't be afraid of not just your people, but don't be afraid of the other side of the hand. Because if we're not speaking out to the issues that concern us, who do you expect to speak to it? I was inspired to get involved in some political things because I seen the first black African-American man to win the presidency. What excited me about that is because I believed through that the perception of the African-American male was going to change. But in order for that to change, I had to do something myself. Now, somebody brought out the point, why hasn't Barack Obama said anything about the African-American community? Well, he has if you listen. He's just waiting on us to actually do something about it.
Exactly, amen.
Now, here it is, here in Hillsborough County. I believe, and I've been to some other places and I've seen some different things. Hillsborough County is not progressive, it's regressive. I was talking with somebody in Panelists County and I shared with them, Panelists County is actually more progressive in a lot of issues versus Hillsborough County. Now, I can count on my hand, one hand, the number of elected African-American officials that we have here. That says something about the commitment that we have to our community. If we only can get 5 elected officials to speak for a plethora of people, something's wrong with that problem. Now, Commissioner, is it Councilman or Commissioner?
Commissioner.
Commissioner, you brought out an excellent point about the restoration of rights. And I would challenge the NAACP to do this. Right now, you have the Clemency Board has 5 members. Governor Chris is one, Bill McCullum is another, Alex Sink is another, and the AG, and I can't remember what his name is.
Bronson.
Okay, so everybody's familiar with this issue. So right now you have 70,000 people waiting to get their rights restored. 70,000 people. And I could bet you $1 to a dime that the majority of those people look like me and you. If we have no vote, we have no voice. We can come to forums like this all day. But if we can't move people and put them in the positions where they make the decisions at the table where the laws are implemented, our voice is just bouncing off these walls. Now, another thing, is it Camille?
Camille,
Forgive me for my comment on Facebook, and I shared that with you about how I may disagree with the panel. Why I disagree with the panel? Because you didn't look to know any leadership within Hillsborough County. I appreciate you, Mr. Stokes,
I understand.
but he's the former president of the NAACP.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have these different cells or organizations or black organizations that are doing things in the community, why not reach out to them to bring their members in?
Who would be a good example of someone that you would like? And not, in defense of Curtis, tell me why you think someone would have been maybe a better choice, or what your suggestion would be.
There's a Toba was one of them that he named. I mean, there's a list of black.
I tried to contact Toba, so.
Okay, well, and they didn't want to attend?
I didn't hear back from anybody.
That happens.
It does.
Also,
and Quentin, if you could wrap up too, because we got a couple people behind you.
Also, if you Google NAACP and the Florida Board of Clemency, you'll see the action that we've taken to help that panel get African American leadership on the Clemency Board.
Thank you. Last thing is that if you have another forum as such, I would encourage you to reach out to all black organizations. And not only that, if you're a media outlet, put it in the media. I mean,
we've done that.
I mean, did you run an ad? Because I read it in the paper. I mean, but
that's the form of the media, the paper.
But the funny thing is, not all of us read.
Right.
Some of us watch BET.
Okay. But we can't get on BET.
Well, why not?
But they say the easy way to hire something from black folks is put it in the book or put it in the words. You're letting us off the hook again.
We let every, so Quentin, we've let every news, media outlet know this in town, so we don't avoid doing that.
Again, I appreciate and I applaud you for having the event.
Thank you.
Well, here in Hillsborough County, like I said, we're not progressive, we're regressive. And I appreciate what you do in Clearwater and Panelists County, but
what would you like to see us do in Hillsborough County that we're not doing?
Well, as regards to the NAACP or just in general?
In general.
Well, I believe there's a host of issues that we could be speaking out about. Number one is economic development and how we can
What are we not doing economic development?
Well, our people, us, people who look like me and you, are the highest unemployed in Hillsborough County. When it comes to jobs being cut in the county, the majority of those people probably work for 30 years for the county. Those are the people who are getting cut. Those are the people who are getting fired.
We looked at that. We met with Pat Bean extensively about that. 30 years ago, Hillsborough County wasn't hiring black folk.
Okay, but what's happening today?
Quentin, I'm going to have to give you a 20-second warning. Go ahead and wrap up.
Okay. All right.
So
but the question is, what's happening today? You see, progressive, not regressive. You're going back to something that has been, and we're talking about what needs to happen now.
So let me understand the logic. We're in the midst of budget cuts, right?
Yes.
People are being let go from the jobs of the county and the city. Just because some of them happen to be black, that's an NAACP issue. Bank of America let people go. Chase let people go. Wachovia let people go. Fifth Third Bank, my employer, let people go. Cigna let people go. WellCare let people go. A lot of organizations let people go in the midst of this economic crisis. Is that racism?
Well, let me ask you a question. What was affirmative action?
Affirmative action was a tool created to help guys like me and you and Isay Gulley and Kenneth Welch get a leg up. It had nothing. It's been hijacked by guys like me and you to get advanced in our employment. It doesn't benefit guys. We call them the grassroots, the guys that are stuck in the mailroom. It doesn't benefit those guys.
Quentin, I'm gonna have to let you wrap up, and our AV guy needs to switch the tape out. Okay, so as you take your seat, we're gonna have to keep it going.
All right, thank you.
We can talk afterwards.
Hello, my name is Bridget Sanders, and I'm a member of TBABJ. I also have a website, subjectandverb.com, and I would just like to make a couple of comments. And he said we can be as separate as the fingers, but, as together as the hands. And I think one thing we need to remember is that we should be working together to, move forward as a people. I'm from the young generation, and there are a lot of things I can learn from the more seasoned generation and vice versa. So, instead of us pinpointing and pointing fingers at each other, we should be pointing out solutions to how to move forward. How should we empower black leadership? And so I just think we need to work and be more united, because I think that's one of the things that, holds our people, well, I say our people, African Americans, down. I always admire, other races, how they work together and they have a system in place. Someone is a CEO and, they're reaching their hand back to help the young people coming behind them. But, so I just think we should just work together and be united.
Well, Bridget, hold on before you take your seat. Since you're a member of the younger generation, what would you suggest that some of the leaders here can do to encourage maybe, some more involvement of the younger generation in their organizations, or to vote more often, or things like that?
Well, I think, in this media savvy age, you might have to take a proactive effort to reach young people through Facebook, MySpace, or Twitter. But I also think, young people could do better to find out what's going on and try to do more to become involved. I'm a young person and I know about the NAACP, and I probably could, take a more proactive effort to become involved. But, at the same time, I would like to, see a hand reaching out to me saying, we want to encourage you to get involved. We want to pass this baton on to you. But so I just think there are things that we both can learn from both parties. Young can learn from the older can learn from the young, and we could just work together and just continue to empower our people so that we can move ahead and not just be on the outside looking in. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to say, if there's anybody else in the audience who hasn't had a chance to speak and would like to, please take a spot in line, because we're going to wrap up after you guys make your comments here.
I just want to apologize. It's not about pointing fingers. What it is about, as the former speaker said, is not letting these ideas and these suggestions and the dialogue, letting it die once we leave here. Another thing is that the reason why we can't work together is because we hate to hear the truth. Just like that man came up here and snatched the microphone out of my hand, to defend you, Ms. Gulley, and that's fine. But that's why we can't work together, is because, like Bill Cosby said, black folks don't like their dirty laundry being aired. That's why it's all this defensiveness instead of suggestions. And okay, you know what? Meet with me after the forum and let's see what we can do. The reason why I'm not a part of the NAACP, why would I want to be a part of something that has a bad perception, regardless of how long it's been around? What does that mean to me about longevity if there's no progress?
But what have you done to change that perception?
I'm involved in my community, very much so. Very much so. I'm 31 years old, and I haven't lived in Tampa all of my life, but I'm very much involved. I'm on the East Tampa Community Advisory Board, which helps to make the decisions in the community that I live in.
What has the East Tampa Advisory Board done that the NAACP hasn't done?
No. It's not about comparison. See, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to defend the NAACP to the day I die. See, because you made it us against them.
Well, your question was, what can the NAACP do? Is that what your question was?
I forgot what I asked her, but she's making a comparison.
Can I make a comment? Would you please stay and let me make my comment? Okay, as I said earlier, I think my point was this. When I said sometimes we are reactive and not proactive, I didn't want situations to always drive us to come out and take a lead. The support is still needed, because just because the library was spared for another year, we have sense enough to know, as the community and those leaders that came forward, like I say, all of us have leadership skills, we need to be working continuously to get the library used more, because it could come up again. That's the only thing I'm saying. Sometimes we declare victory too soon. That's all I was saying.
And you know one thing about me? I respect that.
Yes.
I don't mind saying that, what you're telling me, in a further explanation.
Yes.
I receive that.
Yes. Okay.